Good morning and welcome to the John DeVito Show. I hope everyone had a wonderful New Year. Hope you had a great New Year's Eve. Hope it was safe. Hope you had a fun New Year's Day. And I'm going to tell a little story before I get into what I want to talk about today. Now, talk about a great birthday present. Now, today is my birthday. January 2nd is the day, and I'm not going to reveal my age because I'm still crying over the fact that I'm another year older. But I got a heck of a surprise this past weekend. Now, on Saturday, I had some things I had to do. I had to get out to Connecticut. I was about an hour and a half drive each way. Had some other things I had to do. Now, my wife and my daughter had been planning on going into Boston to see my sister. They apparently had plans to do, whatever they were going to do. They had like some things planned they were going to do. They were going to go on a walk and go out to lunch, whatever. So anyway, I did my things, drove down to Connecticut, got back, and then by like mid to late afternoon, I hadn't heard anything from my daughter or my wife. So I was kind of like, geez, I wonder when they're coming home. I didn't really care if they wanted to stay all day and all night, fine. But I was just kind of curious because they hadn't been that detailed on what the plans were, and they had actually left our house at like 6:30 in the morning on Saturday, which was kind of crazy. So anyway, I didn't think much of it. So all of a sudden, I got a call roughly around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they said they were stuck in traffic in Boston. It was going to take them 2 hours to get home, and they weren't going to be home till close to 7 o'clock that night. So from my perspective, I felt bad they were stuck in traffic. And for the people that listen to my show, I know I have a lot of people in Massachusetts. You all know what Boston traffic can be like, and it can be, like any major city, you can be stuck in traffic forever on a busy day. So I just went with it and believed that that was the case. So, excuse me, I get a bit of a cold still today. But anyway, so to take a step back, about 3-4 months ago, back in August, we had two dogs. We have Molly, which is a golden retriever, and we had another wonderful lab, a black lab. He was kind of a mix. We got him from a shelter. He was recovered in Tennessee and brought up here, and we took him in. And this dog, Brady, was the most amazing dog you could ever ask for. He came into our house when he was little. He was just such an easy dog. He blended right into the family, low maintenance, and kind of a shy dog, but just a wonderful dog. And unfortunately, back in August at the age of 12, we had to put him to sleep because he had cancer. He was having a lot of trouble walking, and it was just really kind of a sad time. So we've always been a dog family. We're a pet family. So we lost our dog Brady back in August, and we still have Molly, who's a golden retriever, and she's almost 8 years old. So we've gone back and forth as to whether or not we wanted to have another dog. And my daughter and I run like a little side hustle. We do like pet sitting and dog walking and things like that, just because we enjoy dogs. And you make a little extra money doing it. It's just kind of a fun thing to do. So anyway, there's this one dog that we've had consistently, this little Havanese called Coco. And it's just such a beautiful, cute little dog. And really, when she comes, she settles into the family. We have several good dogs that come. We have another Coco that's great. We have another dog called Piper. We've got all these amazing little dogs that come to our house. But this one in particular, this little Coco, she and I have kind of really hit it off. She sits on my lap. We cuddle. She's just the cutest little thing. And we've always been big dog people. We've never had a small dog. I had one small dog when I was a kid, a little Lhasa Apso named Teddy, and we loved him. But this little Havanese that we've been sitting has been amazing. So anyway, we dealt with the loss of our dog, Brady. We've been considering getting another dog, and I think my wife and my daughter really knew that I really liked this dog, Coco, a little Havanese. So we live in central Massachusetts. So again, going back to the story, my wife and my daughter were going to Boston. Turns out that they get home at 7 o'clock at night. I'm sitting in my reclining chair watching a football game or whatever I was doing. And out of nowhere, my wife comes in and drops the little puppy onto my chest. So I look and I'm like, oh my God. So I get up again a couple days before my birthday, and I'm like, what's this? This was a little Havanese dog named Layla, the cutest little dog I think I've ever seen. She's a little Havanese dog. She looks like a little Ewok, I mean, or like Chewbacca. She's this tiny little thing. She's got to weigh maybe like 3 pounds. She's 11 weeks old. So when I started to think about this, my wife and my daughter got in the car, got in the car. It's Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. They didn't go to Boston. They drove all the way to Pennsylvania to pick up this dog from a nice Mennonite family who raises Havanese dogs. And apparently, this is the same breeder of the dog that we watch, Coco. So they literally went to the same breeder, even though they were located all the way in Pennsylvania, picked up this little baby who's 11 weeks old and brought it home for me for a birthday present. They went, I think it was a 10-hour round trip drive with the time they spent at the house. They were looking at roughly 11 to 12 hours on a Saturday. Now, tell me, is that not love? That was, I mean, I don't know if I was more blown away by the fact that I got this little puppy that I've been kind of secretly hoping for, or that my wife and my daughter were willing to drive 10 hours round trip on a Saturday to make my birthday special. I literally had tears. This is one of those things where you just feel that unconditional love, and it was such a nice feeling. So this little puppy's been cute. We have her outside like every hour, and for an 11-week dog, she knows her name. She's fairly well housebroken already. She has a couple of mistakes here and there, but she is adorable. So literally, it has been the best birthday present of my entire life, and I had to share that story with all of you. So hopefully you enjoy that. We're definitely dog people. We have this little side hustle on the side where where we watch dogs, like I mentioned. But this was such a nice, just special birthday present for me. So I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday season. Hope you had a great Christmas. Hope you had a great Hanukkah. Hope you had a phenomenal New Year. Ours was pretty low key. We ended up just kind of hanging out at the house. We had a nice dinner, actually. We had some family over, had a nice dinner, and then we kind of hung around at the house. We watched a few movies and then watched the ball drop in New York City. And I'm proud to say I actually made it to midnight. I think I was in bed by 12:01, but I made it to midnight anyway to celebrate the new year. So here we are, 2024, a new year. God knows what we're in store for. We've got the big election coming up this year. I think many people believe that Trump is going to be the front runner. Will the Democrats find a way to steal the election from him? I'm sure they're going to try. As many of my listeners, I think a lot of you understand and believe that the election was stolen in 2020. I unequivocally believe that the election was stolen. I believe that they stole it from Trump. I believe that the mechanism that placed Joe Biden as the front runner set it up so he won. I don't think that Biden has the brain power in order to create something like this, but I definitely think it was Obama. The self-appointed elites in our society wanted Biden in. They wanted a puppet in. They've got their puppet, and they're all pulling the strings above him. So we've got this big election coming up in 2024. I'm certainly a Trump guy. That's who I'm voting for. But we'll see if the Democrats try to find a way to cheat again. Now, from what we've seen already, we've seen Colorado, they removed Trump from the ballot. And then, of course, we saw that Secretary of State Bellows up in Maine, who is a left-wing wingnut, along with her husband up in Maine, removed Trump from the ballot. And from my perspective, and I think from a lot of people's perspective, number one, she's citing the insurrection. He was acquitted from the insurrection, so he was not found guilty. So I'm not sure how you could possibly remove him from the ballot based on an insurrection that he was acquitted for. And, what I would love to see is some equal justice. Your party talks about equity, right? Well, if you're going to penalize Trump, why not go after Maxine Waters, Ayanna Pressley, Kamala Harris, and AOC and all the other communists that went out there and were inciting violence during the George Floyd riots back in 2020. We all saw that. There were billions of dollars of damages, multiple people murdered, and they, without question, incited that, as they called it, peaceful protest back in 2020. So if you're going to punish someone for like Trump for charges he was acquitted from, why not go after the wingnuts on the left that incited the insurrection of 2020, which was 100 times more destructive than any indication of any type of insurrection that really didn't happen on January 6th. So it's just incredible to me that this communist dictator up in Maine took it upon herself to decide for all of the Maine voters that, yeah, if you want to vote for Donald Trump, sorry, you can't check that name and you can't even write in that name. That is communism. That is fascism. And I'm hoping there was talk that this woman may be impeached. She needs to be impeached and thrown off the ballot. And honestly, the Maine voters, if you are not allowed to vote for your candidate of choice, hopefully you'll have like a million person rally on the state house up in Maine. I mean, definitely no violence. It has to be peaceful. We don't go low like the Democrats do. We don't do that in the Republican Party because we're hardworking, decent people. And the left are the ones that, when they have Black Lives Matter rallies, they're the ones that send in the bricks in the cities on pallets so people can smash windows and become violent. That's what the left does. The right's better than that. But with this injustice to our country and this injustice to the people of Maine, we need to ensure that Trump gets back on that ballot. And that wingnut up there is Secretary of State, who was placed in office. She was never voted into office. She needs to be removed from the ballot, or removed from her job, removed from the state of Maine, and let her go park cars someplace, or maybe work as a local custodian at one of the local nursing homes, because that's what she belongs. So anyway, that just disgusts me. I'm already fired up. January 2nd, today's my birthday, and I'm already pissed off about Maine. Now, taking a step further, let's move past Maine. I'm going to keep this podcast between 15 and 20 minutes. Has anyone seen these stories about Bill Clinton's name being released now as one of the people, as like John Doe number 36 or whatever the hell it was? He has been released as someone that traveled, didn't just fly on the Lolita Express. It's been documented he traveled 50 times, 50 times to Epstein's Island, the little paradise for all the pedophiles to come to and have sex and, who knows, murder and do whatever else they did to these poor children who were sex trafficked to this island. So it's now been said that Bill Clinton was on that island 50 times. 50. Hey, liberals, I want to hear from you. What should be done to Bill Clinton, being that he was on an island that had underage children there for the picking, and he went 50 times to rape children? Do you think Bill should be held accountable, or should he just skate like the rest of the pedophiles that were on Epstein's Island? I am sorry, and I will make this clear to anyone that listens to my show. I am without question, a Trump supporter. And there were mentions of Trump hanging out with Epstein in New York. There is no indication whatsoever that Trump ever traveled to Epstein's Island. He flew a few times on Epstein's jet. They were friends for a while. Epstein took him to other places. But when Trump supposedly found out that Epstein was hitting on one of the young girls of one of the club members at his club, Trump threw him out and ended their friendship. So if I were to find that Donald Trump had flown to Epstein's Island 50 times, and he had been there multiple times, and there were pictures of him with young children, you know what? I would say that Trump should be thrown in prison. They should throw the key away, and we should never see him again. I don't believe that's the case with Trump. None of the evidence I've seen shows that he traveled to Epstein's Island. But now we have indisputable proof that Bill Clinton traveled to this island at least 50 times. 50 times. Hillary knew about it. I want to see these degenerates prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and Bill Clinton should be in prison for the rest of his life, if not executed. I agree also that if Hillary Clinton was complicit in this, she needs to go to prison. And for each name that comes out on that list, I don't care if they are royalty. I don't care if it's the CEO of a company. I don't care if it's the president of the United States, a congressman, a congresswoman. I don't care if it's the top entertainers in the world, actors, singers, models, whoever they may have been. When those names come out and we see the report, we damn well better see some arrests, some indictments, and some serious prison time for these degenerates. We need to send a clear message from the United States of America and to the entire world that we do not allow pedophiles to walk when they've abused children. It's got to happen. So the stories out there now from Clinton, and for all of you out there on social media, whatever platform you have, whatever people you talk to, we need to spread the word because I believe that the mainstream media will bury this like everything else they do. I believe they're going to bury it. You aren't going to see these stories as the names comes out. And you have to wonder, once the names are released, what big tragedy is going to happen again? It's like a magician does. When you're looking at this hand where the magic's happening, you should be looking at the other hand because that's where the deception's happening. And the same thing's going to happen again. Are they going to stage a big mass shooting? Is there going to be another war declared? What is going to be the distraction that the media and our overlords use to prevent us from paying attention to all the names that are supposedly going to be coming out of the people that were on Epstein's island? If it were my decision and Bill Clinton went to court, they found him guilty. I mean, we've seen all the rape accusations against him. I had Juanita Broderick on my podcast. I interviewed her, and she explained in detail the rape that happened at the hands of Bill Clinton. So if this man is this serial pedophile and he's been abusing children for all of these years, he needs to go to prison and a minimum, but I would prefer to see the death penalty. If you are raping and murdering children, you need to die, in my opinion. You do not deserve to breathe oxygen one day longer. So let's hope that our government, that our media, that our people in this country are going to be on the ball with this. We're going to speak up and arrests and indictments will happen. So here we are, 2024. It's a new year. Hopefully we're going to have a scenario where we take our government back for the communist traitors on the left that are intent on destroying our country. But people, patriots, all of us out there, we need to pull together and we need to start speaking up loud. Now, as you all know, I never advocate violence. If you think anything that I say is a call to violence, it is not. I believe in peaceful protests. I believe in speaking your mind. I believe in taking advantage of the freedom of speech that we have in this country to speak out. But it needs to be a speaking out that demands change. We need to be unified. We need to be demanding change in this country. And we can't accept anymore any type of cheating like what happened in 2020. The situation in Colorado, the situation in Maine with communist Secretary Bellows. She needs to be thrown out of office and Trump needs to be put back on the ballot. She has no right to tell American people who they can vote for and who they are not allowed to vote for. That's communism. That's taking away our rights to freedom. That's taking away everything our country was founded upon. That little communist needs to crawl back into the little dark corner that she came from. And we need to have the availability to vote for whoever we see fit in the election, especially when that candidate has been crucified for the last 8 years like we've never seen before because the man speaks the truth. There was no insurrection on January 6th. The Capitol Police allowed people in. Pelosi orchestrated this thing. Ray Epps was seen on video pumping up people to try to create an insurrection. This was an operative attack by the FBI, the CIA, sanctioned by Nancy Pelosi and the other communist lunatics on the left. So, America, we need to be smarter than this. We can't continue to fall for what these people are pulling on us. We can't let them pull the wool over our eyes anymore. So 2024 is going to be the year of taking our country back. We all need to speak up. We need to demand justice. And we need to purge all of these infidels from our government. All right. So Happy New Year to everyone. I started with a nice little story about my new dog. And then, of course, I got fired up and talked about Communist Secretary of State Bellows up in Maine. And then Bill Clinton on the Epstein Island frequent flyer list. I'm sure he probably had like a rewards card on Epstein's Island. 50 times he visited. That man needs to go down. He needs to be in prison. And if he ends up there, he better look out because Hillary will probably end him if he goes to prison because you know that's what she does. Anyway, Happy New Year to all of you. Happy 2024. Thank you for joining the John DeVito Show. And I want to wish you all the very best, and I'll be back very soon. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate all of you. Take care and have a wonderful day.